On this. Hello, everybody. I'm Rick DiClemente, and this is us, the Unpluggers. This is Astrology Unplugged coming out of Pittsburgh, and we have a lot going for you tonight. Nice to have you, and especially if you're coming across from YouTube. This will be a long evening, and then we'll post it on YouTube later on. A couple of notes. I am going to have um, our good friend Deneen Joyner's coming back. She's a really fine shaman, amongst other things, and she wanted to do a whole new course that she has set up. But it was a 2 hour course, and I didn't think we would be able to get 2 hours to transmit to YouTube properly. So she's going to come twice, 1 hour on the 16th of this month, and again on November 30th. She's going to be talking about family curses, family illnesses that get passed down generation after generation, how to find out about them, how to extract yourself from them. And she also calls them unresolved and unhealed emotional pain that gets passed down. So she'll be coming on the 16th and the 30th. So that's coming up. Tonight, we're going to be talking about things I've learned about the left brain, right brain. And we're going to be talking a lot about trines, which I have understated through the years. And it's just now that I'm giving them the proper attention they deserve. And the reason I've not given trines more respect is I'm just busy with people and their troubles. I get very busy with their squares and their oppositions and trying to unhook them from that. And I'm kind of rediscovering them myself. And sextiles are important too. But the trines are just incredibly strong. And I'm going to show you some that are unbelievable. And they're your ticket to the cosmos. And I hope we can show you each of your trines in your charts. So let's get started. And we're going to start tonight by a little poem that I saw. If you're with me on Facebook, I forwarded it. If you're not, I'll repeat it here. This was an American Indian saying, or I don't know what you call it, quote from the Native American page on Facebook. It's the Apache tribe. Quote, we were told we would see America come and go. And in a sense, America dies from the inside out because they have forgotten the instructions to live on Mother Earth. This is a Hopi creed. It is our creed that if you are not spiritually connected to the earth and you don't understand the spiritual reality of life on earth, the chances are that you're not going to make it. This is very sober. It's not scary. It's just a sober way of putting it. And they've known this for a long time. Everything is spiritual. Everything has one spirit. Here are we on earth only a few winters, and then we go to the spirit world, and the spirit world is more real than most of us realize. The spirit world is everything. Most of our body is water, and to stay healthy, you need to drink pure water because water is sacred, air is sacred. Our DNA is made from the same DNA as the trees. The tree breathes that we can breathe out, and we need what the tree expires. So we have a common fate with the tree, and we are all of the earth. And when the earth and its water and atmosphere are corrupted, then the earth will create her reaction, and the mother will react, which is what she's doing. In the Hopi prophecy, it says that storms and floods will get much bigger. For me, it is not negative to know that there will be a big changes. It is not negative, it's evolution. When you look at it as its evolution, then you know it's time and nothing stays the same, and you should learn to plant something. This is the first connection. You should learn to look at all things as spirit and realize that we are family and it never ends. Everything is life, and there is no end to life. If you go to my page on Facebook, you can copy that. So I thought that was well said, and I got a huge reaction out of it, just so many people agreeing with it. So there are lots of things to talk about. The first thing tonight, I want to talk to you about Astrology Unplugged, first episode. I don't know why I did it on the first episode 7 years ago, but I recalled sitting in my dormitory in 1969, read a freshman reading Time magazine, and there was an article in it about the left brain and the right brain. And I remembered it, and it had such an impact on me that I've been watching it ever since. Now, you may be aware of this, you may not, but I've been amazed by watching it, and I'll show you some pictures that exemplify it. And the theory is that since the left brain is the logic part, it controls how the muscles are controlled on the right side. And since the right side of the brain is the emotional side, it controls the left side of the body and the brain. And I mean, from my MS attacks, I know for sure it's straight down the middle, just like a line, straight down the whole way. So, what the theory is that in your eyes and in your lips, you will favor one side or the other. Most people who are somewhat social, the right side of their mouth goes up more than the left side. When a person I found is an Aries or Taurus or Gemini, early signs of the zodiac, therefore not real introspective, I found most Aries, Taurus, Geminis, their eyes are the same distance, their lips are straight across. Okay? When you say somebody like a politician or somebody's real public, what you'll see is this side is higher than that side, almost always. And when I just happened to notice that I watch these things, Claudia just came to visit us last week. Claudia was talking to me about something, doesn't matter what it was, and she started to talk, and her right side started to come up, and the left side came up and stopped it, and the left side said, okay, and then the right side came up and they balanced. Very common, but you got to watch for it. What happens there? It's we start to emote, then the logical part of the brain says, well, things are going fast in our world. Is it okay that we emote here? Is it okay that we show that emotion? So you'll see many, many people talking to you. The right side starts up, it's stopped, the left side checks it, the left side okays it, and then they both go up. Common, very, very common. Now, when you see crooks, a lot of crooks like Nixon and very crooked people who are, that's where that word comes from. They're crooked. The face is misshapen. When you see a lot of that, it's very common to see the faces very distorted. And I'm going to show you just some examples of both, but I've been doing this since 1969, so I've kind of tested it out. And it will give you something to watch. And I don't know why I did this on show number 1, but that's what popped out of my mouth. So here we are, 349 shows later. I'll show you some pictures and what I mean. Okay, we're going to start on, it's in alphabetical order. If you look at Dick Cheney, look at his lips. I mean, I can't even tell you what that means because they're so distorted. And I happen to think he's a big crook, but I think the lips show that with the right side going up higher than the left. If you look at Churchill, standard photograph of Churchill, this is a very common picture of most human beings. The right side goes higher than the left side. And that means they're constantly in public having to okay and watch what they're saying and be careful. And that's why you see so many politicians with pursed lips. It's just so common. And you'll start to notice this the next few weeks as you become aware of it. Look at Elvis. Now, Elvis is unusual. He's once in a while you'll see somebody where the left side is higher than the right. And that's very unusual. But that's how he was. I'm not sure exactly why, and I don't want to guess. Okay, Emma Stone. Look at her. Beautiful. You can see her whole face is tilting to the left. You got a pretty much straight on shot of this young, beautiful actress, and her left lip is tilting up. And as a matter of fact, the whole side of her face is starting to tilt up. So it's very intriguing to watch this. And you have to watch it for many years to get a real grasp of it. Here's a guy, I don't even know who it is. Just grabbed him off the internet because this is a typical face. The right side is higher than the left side. And a lot of times when this person starts to emote, his right side will start to go up. The left side will have to okay it or not. And when it okays it, the right side will go up and they'll become more even. You will see this all the time if you start to look for it. Have any of you noticed this? Okay, good. I like to turn you on to new and crazy things. That's good. Okay, here's an actor. Look at his right side. Just slightly. The right side is higher, and he's the one that's in that those scary movies, Twilight. But notice how his right side is already forming permanently. He's a young man. It's forming permanently. You've heard a lot of talk about the face that you get when you're old is the face that you deserve because it's what you have done to your face. So, the theory being that most of the time, it's not a judgment. Most of the time, when the lips are straight and the eyes are even, you have a healthier personality. Now, you will see as people get older, the left eye will become smaller. It will become narrower, and the right side is more open. It's the same theory. Here's a guy. Look at him. You can see in his body language, he's not only given control to his right side, his whole body's starting to shift that way. You're seeing it from the neck up. This is very common for businessmen, politicians, public figures. Look at that. You all know him. That's from years and years of doing it. That's from being very guarded. He's a Cancer, from being very guarded emotionally. And that right side wants to come up and smile and share about what a nice guy he is. And the left side has to okay it, approve it. Because the left side of your mouth is how you really feel. How you really feel. Okay? Intriguing. Ah, yeah. Didn't mean to scare you there. What do you got there? You got absolute total control of everything. You got the eyes completely separate from the mouth. What the eyes are doing and the mouth are doing may as well be two different people. And the kind of pressure he's under and the kind of stuff he does and thinks up is no wonder. That's McConnell. Okay, here's Michael Douglas. This is a typical photograph, the right side coming up over the left side. Their mouths permanently adapt to this shape. Most people. Look at her, Gemini. Even mouth, beautiful features, even eyes. Just beautiful features that she had. Well, she only made it to 32, isn't that right? I think she lived to be 32. But it's interesting to see. I will notice in the early signs of the zodiac, they're usually much more even. Oh, you gonna watch Fox News? Are you gonna believe Fox News? Huh? He's tilted. I know I've talked with Sigmund, and Sigmund does some really neat things. He'll turn the sound off. When a politician is speaking, he'll just turn the sound off and he'll pick up what he's laughing over there. He'll pick up what he picks up intuitively from the person. And I find him to be very accurate. Similar here. I can just say to you now, this is when Sean was young, and since he's gotten older, the tilt is more grave. Oh, Ted Bundy. I don't have to tell you anything here. I'm surprised it's not even more. But what they had us do, I just remembered this. They had you take a mirror and put the mirror shows you two lefts and two rights. And you get a totally different person. Where the person with the two rights is much friendlier looking. But the person with the two lefts is really what they look like. Now you could try this with some photographs that you see. You can do it with your hand. And they say if you're doing it with your hand, to look at his left eye with your left eye. You see a much meaner, scarier person. And look at his right eye with your right eye. Much more friendlier. This is dramatically different. Take a look at his right eye with your right eye. He looks much more tame and nice guy, Sagittarian. Now look at his left eye with your left. Mm-mm. You see it? He looks very different. So it's really intriguing to watch. I just happened to wait 7 years before I thought to tell you. Oh, now here's an interesting Tucker Carlson, Taurus. And you see his right lip starts to go up a little bit, but he's basically pretty even. Look at his eyes. His eyes are the same. So again, you'll see, I think, with the early signs, you'll see more evenness. That's what I have noticed through researching it. This is some politician's wife. Look at that right side. Now do the same with your right eye. Look at her right side with your right eye. She'll look much more friendlier. Then look at her left side with your left eye, and it looks more robotic, fixed. Very intriguing. Now, I don't want any of you going home and spend hours in front of the mirror. Hey, honey, come here. Okay, so that's that. Anyhow, I thought that was pretty neat, and it just resurfaced 7 years later. And are any of you ever do that with the AU folks? No, I've not done it with the AU folks because I don't have that clear of a view of you. I'm zoomed back more. I need more of a close up. But anyhow, do what I told you. You got this video to remind you how to do it. Just start looking at people's pictures and you will be amazed. Some people, it's just unbelievable how slanted it is. Some people aren't so bad. And a lot of people, especially when they get older, a lot of people, the majority of people, the left eye gets smaller than the right eye in height. So what do you think? Claudia's making her lips as tight as she can.
I
Come
used
on,
to notice
people.
this with my mom when I was young.
What?
I used to notice this with my mother when I was
Yeah,
young.
try.
And it's very prominent with her. She's an early sign, but I always thought she she was like this. She was not, it was
Tilted.
very
Tilted.
honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very common. It
Yeah.
is. And being a Gemini, and when you were talking to me here in Pittsburgh and you talked, all of a sudden I just pointed at you.
Yeah. I know.
That's what it
You know it.
was. You were talking, and one side was up, and the other side said, "Is this okay?" And the other side said, "It's okay." And then they both went up. And it's very common when you're in crowds of people or a public figure. Well, what about you, Mr. Sigmund? You're the one who's always looking through to people's souls. You are muted.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I don't go around looking for or into people's souls. Uh, you know,
Excuse me. Withdraw that from the record.
I don't know that I could do that even if I were invited. But in any case, yeah, I've noticed, as you said earlier, whenever a politician is speaking, I turn the sound off because they talk through as many filters as they could get up,
Yeah.
and um, so you can tell if
Hold
you
on.
do this.
Hold on a moment, please. Excuse me. I'll be right back. Good.
You can see, especially over time, whether that's right away or with practice, just what's they're all about, or what's talking through them, and it's infinitely so much more accurate, whether they want to own it or not, whether they want to
Right.
cover it up or not. And that's what I base my reactions to them on.
I think it's really intriguing. And because of you, I do that myself and watch. And boy, that's a real hard. You have to really look closely. Anybody else have any thoughts? What do you think, Jane?
I think it's sort of like I must have noticed, or you take in a person's face and don't realize how you're reading it.
Right.
It's like you might read that there's an issue without understanding. You will get a gut feeling. Is that
That's right.
about something? But
That's
I
part of
find
it.
it's
Yep.
just so interesting. Thank you, Rick. That's really
It
interesting.
is
I'm going to
really
look at
interesting.
that.
So
It
start
is, yeah,
watching. It'll take you
yeah.
years.
Well,
Start watching. And
yeah. Thank you.
let us know what you report back. Erica has her hand
Thank
raised.
you.
Yes, sir.
I was
Yeah.
just thinking of like actors in the 40s. When you look at movies, you really see a lot of people that have, a very, like their faces constantly for such a long time. They've had their features this way that they can't even straighten it out. I can't think of
Exactly.
anybody in particular off the top of my head,
That's right.
but I mean, it's so different from nowadays that it just really kind of stands out when you see these old movies.
Yeah, I think you're
That the
right.
person has like the
Yeah.
constant, one way or the other.
I also think in the old days it was kind of a iconic way of looking at him, a sexy way, a tough guy. I don't know. Anyhow, I wanted to point that out to you, introduce it into your library so you can start watching it. Now, we're going to talk about trines. Okay. A trine is when two planets are 1/3 of the way around the circle from each other, 120 degrees. And I usually give them 9 degrees orb myself. Some people give them smaller, so therefore a trine is much more powerful if it's one or 2 degrees away from being 120 than it is at 8 or 9. Okay, but I've started to study people. How do I say this to you? If you can do something remarkable, then all the better to you. And a lot of it's because you've practiced and worked hard at it. But a lot of people are just gifted. And they may or not work hard at it. But I'm going to start you out with a chart of a guitar player named Robert Fripp, who's the lead guitarist for King Crimson. He's almost 80. He practices like a maniac, 10 hours a day. His band has been around for 50 years. They never wanted much notoriety. So that's probably why you may not have heard of him. But the guy's unbelievable on the guitar. He's just unbelievable with the things he can do. So I wanted to go back to his chart, and I was really flipping out over his natal chart. Then I went back and looked at the trines, and I was floored. Watch this here. Okay, here's Fripp's chart. Okay, he is a Taurus. He's got a moon in Scorpio. He's really, really intense. He's kind of lighthearted because he's got these Gemini planets, but he's also kind of dark. His music can be really heavy. And many people say he was the grandfather of the music like Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath, that type of stuff. And that his music in 1969 was the birth of that type of stuff. And I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, we'll notice here, I don't know if it's an eclipse or not, but he's got a pretty close full moon. The sun opposite the moon in Scorpio, and the moon in Scorpio is very intense. Now, one of the things that you may or may not know, you may have heard me on this show, this is a very special group of people. These people were born 1945, 1946. Had nothing to do with the war, but these people had Jupiter and Chiron and Neptune together. And the musicians that I have seen, notice this one is 12 degrees apart. This triplicate, this stellium, and it's in Libra, was recently repeated a couple years ago, 50 years later, in the sign of Aquarius. So you'll see these repeat now and then. This is a remarkable, remarkable combination of planets. Not the trine, just the three together. Because you've got the Jupiter, Neptune, which is that connection to spirit. Paul Simon has this. And Chiron's right in the middle of it. The magic of Chiron and the artistry of Chiron. And this is why these guys can just pull songs out of nowhere. They're just unbelievably magical. You ever watch the fingers when Stephen Stills plays? His fingers just, he's just dancing across the string. He's got the same thing. Just a beautiful command of the guitar that maybe you would get this with practice, but probably not. This is God-given. Now, he's also got Pluto next to Mars in Leo in the 12th house. So you see a darkness there and an intensity there. He'll play the most beautiful heavenly music, and then he'll just stop and rip your soul out with his intense dark stuff. He just goes back and forth. He's got this marvelous Gemini in his chart, which means he's really, really open to suggestions. And he'll try this, and he'll try this, and he'll try that. And another thing that does is give you tremendously fast fingers. Speed comes from Uranus. This is a powerhouse chart. Mercury is at the top of the chart, and it's in Taurus. So I think the Taurus helps give him a lot of stability. And Mercury being there shows you how smart he is. He's been keeping a diary, a journal, his whole 50 years, open to the public. All 50 years. He put it on the internet. You can go read anything about his life. It's really open, which is an unusual way to be when you're Moon in Scorpio. The trines here, the Moon in Scorpio's power is augmented by being in trine 6 to 28 in Eris to the Moon, Moon to Saturn, Mars to Eris, Pluto to Eris. So just Eris is trine to Pluto, to Mars, and the Moon in Scorpio. I don't even know how to express this to you. This is somebody who has so much powerful ability, smarts, practice tendencies, and versatility. Beside fingers like astounding. And this thing here. This is a very rare chart of somebody that, if you listen to him compared to other guitarists, you'll be going. Anyhow, that's enough of him. I'm going to get to you guys here in a minute, but I thought I would say hi to Renate and Sean in his, come out of the closet, Sean. I think he goes under the covers. Honest to God. Hey, Sean, if you want to go under the cover, you just go ahead. It's all right. I don't care because I know who you are. Let me show you a couple other people, famous people. Really intriguing. Really intriguing. Okay. I want to show you Simone Biles. Phenomenal physical ability. We're not going to even look at her, the fact that she's Pluto moon across the ascendant, and she is a Pisces, and she's got all that opposite Mars. But she's got the, doesn't the grand trine make you picture a gymnast balancing? Just does. The power of a grand trine, Mars to the moon, to Jupiter, to Uranus, to Neptune, is so powerful. Pluto trine to Saturn. So what a trine does is, in most cases, it's very positive. You've never heard me talk about many things that are mainly positive. Almost everything has two sides to it. Trines are almost completely positive. They take the energy of one, mix it with the energy of the other, and put it together, and man, you get magic. And it's intense, and it stays together. Now, when it's a grand trine, at least 3 planets involved in the triangle, it's usually a fire triangle, an air triangle, an earth triangle, or a water triangle. So the fire triangles are very dynamic. We can't stop that halfback. We just can't tackle him. What is going on? That Earth trine. My God, they get so much done in one day. How do they do it? Productive. The air triangle, where they're just brilliant, and they just live in this world of we're figuring out all this stuff is not hard. And then finally, the water triangle, which is pretty rare. Those are the people who are very, very deep emotionally. And you really wonder where they're coming from because they're swimming in a sea that's so strange to most of us because it's so emotional. Okay. Now, most of the time, a grand trine is in the same element. Not always. Sometimes you have an out of sign grand trine where two planets are in fire and one is not because they're near the edge. All that does is weaken the trine a little bit. That's all. It's called an out of trine grand trine. Now, one of the problems, this is pointed out to me by Arroyo, which is really true, is one of the problems with the grand trine, it makes you so self-sufficient in that modality. So if you've got a grand trine in air, you just don't care what people think. Not that you're rude, you just know what's happening. I got to figure it out. And you will benefit by stopping and listening to other people now and then. So the grand trine can be faulty in the terms that you rely too much on. Grand trine in water, same thing. Don't take anybody's advice about what's happening to you emotionally, and you probably should. You're concealed, okay? Grand trine in earth. God damn it, I know how I want this done. This is how we're doing it. 4 layers of bricks. That's it, not 5. People like that, you can't talk to them. And they would probably benefit by being more flexible. And what I got to say about grand trine and fire, these people are, I'm leading, get behind me, and let's go. And you have no other choice. So that's the problem with grand trines. But usually they're pretty good. Usually they're really, really positive. Let me show you some other people. You're not going to believe, but you had to say to yourself, where in the hell does Bob Dylan get all these songs from? It's not just because he's a Gemini. Wait till you see his chart. It's just unbelievable. And that's where it comes from. It comes from all the trines. Okay. Mercury, Venus, Sun in Gemini. Jupiter, Uranus, Moon, Saturn in Taurus. All these planets are trine to Neptune. At the top of charts. You tell me he doesn't bring songs down from the heavens? Neil Young has the same thing. It's just when the heavens say, it's time to write this song, give me my pencil. This is why he gets interviewed and they can't answer their stupid questions. How did you write that song? I don't know. Look. It's pouring into him from Neptune. This is a major, major planet. And you'll notice in 79, when he went into the Jesus freak movement, he stayed in there longer than people would think. And he still has a very reverential religious side to him, but he's very, very private. But this is somebody who has a direct connection to this. Let's say God's house up there, God's mansion has a spigot outside. And it's just pouring right down into him. 6th house, working hard, common man working for the underdog. But what you do with something like this is you focus on the number 24 degree, almost 25. What over here is 25? Well, Uranus is at 26. Jupiter is at 28. The moon's at 21. These are three powerful, fast planets. And this is one reason that when you listen to Dylan, he has so many different selves. Besides being Gemini, he can sound like this, sound like a cowboy, sound like a guy on stage. He just has all these different varieties, which is very Geminian. I know you see me get excited now and then, but you don't see charts like Mr. Dillon's now and then. This is incredible chart, incredibly talented. Now, you may ask yourself, what would happen if he grew up and never had a guitar? What happened if he never had music lessons? We don't know. Could he have suppressed this? I doubt it. This is so strong, I don't think he could have suppressed it. I think if you cut it in half, maybe he could have. But this is so much. In the early days in New York City, he used to go to his friend's house and steal the records. He wanted to learn so bad in 1961 with Woody Guthrie and all them. He would go to their apartments and take their records and take them home. He didn't care. He just wanted to learn so bad. His fever and passion come from planetary connections. Watch Rembrandt. The fabulous painter, Dutch painter. Now you notice things are on the angles. You see Neptune is right on the angle, pointing towards, that's opening to heaven, just like Dylan. You see the moon in Scorpio. He's very scorpionic with Scorpio rising. He was a Cancer. He had this big T-square with all these planets going over to these planets, coming down to Jupiter and Pisces. This is somebody who took all of this and just saw the beauty of man. Then you go look at the trines. The sun is trine to the moon. I can't even tell you how strong that is. I had a wife, an ex-wife, who had sun trine moon. It is so powerful because it's the two main planets. Look at it, 22, 24. Your two main planets are connected. And I would see her through different things. And I watched her go through to get a PhD, which is very difficult work. And she just didn't ask a question, didn't ask for help. She was just so self-contained, pounded it out. Tough. Very tough person. That's one of the main reasons why. Neptune trine to Saturn. What that would help Rembrandt is what's real, what isn't. What's real, what isn't. What's dreamy, what's earthy. He would help him be able to merge those two faculties, which is a big deal. Then he's got Saturn trine to Pluto. Ooh, talk about power. And Mercury trine to Chiron. Just fascinating, these charts. Look at Picasso. Look at all his Taurus. He was a Scorpio. He was a rat, by the way. Look at the Uranus at 17 trine to Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, Jupiter. 4 planets are trine to Uranus. That's the brilliance. That's also the weirdness. I mean, you must admit that Cubism is pretty weird, especially for its time. different way of looking at it. And when you're very Uranian, you don't care what people think. You just do it. It was a revolution. Very powerful. Look at Shakespeare. Unbelievable. The trine of the moon to Neptune, which is just beautiful, and the moon to Venus. Boy, that just gives him song in his voice. Did you know he was responsible for 11% of the English language? Or words he made up. 11% are words he coined. Then you got Chiron, the skill planet, tied directly into Eris. Very, very powerful. Look at Bobby Fischer, molding people over. Look at the Pluto Mars. He said, when I play you, my job is not to beat you. It's my job to destroy your ego. He was quite a jerk. And I know a woman born on the same day, and she's delightful. But this is I'll kick your butt, Pluto Mars. Look at that grand trine. Neptune to Mars to Uranus to Saturn. You can see it's almost like a buttress that holds up a church, like Notre Dame. These are force fields. They're really, really powerful. Michael Phelps, the phenomenal swimmer. 28 gold medals. The moon, Uranus, up to Eris. So when you got your planets connected to Eris, and everybody wants to make light of Mr. Eris or Miss Eris, she is a powerhouse. She is what's got this planet rocking and rolling right now. Okay, so I showed you a lot of people. Let's get to you. Let's get to the interesting people. Let's get to you guys and see what's going on with you. But I think you got the idea what trines can do. They're really, really major. And in my experience, they're almost always positive. I have seen negativity with all aspects where they blend and not always in a perfect way. But in trines, case of trines, it's just almost always really positive. Let's start with let's start with Diane, who's down in the bottom corner right on my screen, and see what we find there, especially since she said she had a grand trine. Let's go see what that one says. Okay. Here's Diane's chart. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with the rest of the chart. I'm going to focus on just the trines. Okay. We have the sun in Aries next to Venus, opposite Neptune. So it's pretty close, even though it's out of sign, it's pretty close. So this makes the Neptune really strong. So she's in that special group of people that I've seen so many times that are that unusual combination of the first sign and the last sign. A lot of Aries, a lot of Pisces. And that can be really choice combination, I have found. Liz has found that too. Okay, let's see here. She's got this Sun Venus is so close that we're going to put both of them at this corner. And this is close enough that we're going to consider putting them together, or else it's just the moon. And now you got Pluto. So you pretty much have Pluto, moon, sun, Venus. Now, we've got the two main planets again in the zodiac, sun, moon. And they're both trine to Pluto. And she's a psychologist. Why? because she got the ability. She's earned it somewhere. She's gotten it somewhere. She's born to do that. It's not an Aries quality to dig deep into your personality. It is a Sun Pluto person. So this is marvelous. This is very, very strong. I've got I've got Mercury Pluto trine, and I think that really helps me to see that's not it. That's it. Not that. No, that's it. I don't know where it comes from. It just does. She has very, very strong psychological abilities. Very powerful with a Mercury in the 8th house. But this is very, very nice. Notice it's in fire. Don't overlook that. What does that mean? You don't have to give her a call to get her up in the morning. She's going to get up. She's springy. She's bouncy. She's fiery. Even though the moon in Pisces is kind of gentle and all. But with a moon in Sag in these Aries planets, and look at Eris right on the angle. So she's very Arisian, very fiery. Let's go back to the Hollywood. What did they call the screen? What did they call the TV show with the nine figures on?
Hollywood Squares.
Let's go back to our Hollywood squares and just keep Erica in the middle. What do you think, Diane?
Well, I think it does explain why I feel like I'm not a typical Aries in many ways. Although the fire is definitely more prominent now, later in my life, than it was early on, mostly just because I'm getting more comfortable with being myself.
That's right.
Yeah. I noticed too that it looks like Eris is trine with some planets too. I was curious if you had any thoughts on
Eris,
that.
yeah, sure I do. Eris is trying to the moon and also to Uranus.
No.
So that means that you can get it. You can get yourself involved in some tempestuous emotional relationships and reactions, and able to deal with it.
Hmm.
This is not easy. Most people with that would cash it in. Get out of here. This is too wild for me. This is a very tempestuous, but it's almost a grand trine.
Yeah.
So it shows to me like things get hot. Things get hot and heavy. You don't skip out. You're ready to dive right in and handle it.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's not always prevalent. Well, I hope you liked that. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
That was a good one. All right, let's go back to catch Sean down there in this whatever he's in. Hello, Sean.
How you doing, brother Rick?
Doing good. I think I got Sean here. Okay. Doesn't show up on your screen, shows up on mine. Okay. Sean, as we know, has the clear-cut main symbol in the chart, Saturn opposite the moon. That will be his main planetary combination for his whole life. We could talk about this forever. I don't know why that's there. That's definitely past life. But we see the Venus, and the Venus is a very nice output for these two planets that can be very tough on each other. And they send their output to Venus and Aquarius. And that's very nice. That means when he gets all messed up inside himself, his release is to go out and be with people, to be around people. He's very friendly and charming, and that's a really good thing to see. Okay, in your trines, you have the powerful Eris trine to Uranus. in Sag, and that means Uranus in Aries trying to, I'm sorry, Eris in Aries trying to Uranus in Sag. That means I don't have to pull on your arm very much to get you to sign my petition about us going down the block and raising some hell with some people who are screwing other people. You're in. You can't stand it. This church can't stand people getting screwed, being treated ill, being treated less than, being excluded. This church fiery. Is that true?
100%.
He says with no emotion whatsoever. So that means 150. Yeah. Oh, that's where it comes from. This is powerful. Now, what you got to do with this, I can see the writing on the wall, and this is past life. You must never put yourself down if you start to overreact to a situation and you want to go grab your M15, but of course you're not going to. But I mean, you get so mad that you want to take that type of action. Don't suppress it. That's you. Do not suppress it. You're not the one to bring to the discussion table. You're just not. You need fire? Go get Sean. So that's real important. And with your Saturn opposite the moon, it's very possible, especially with Saturn and Scorpio, for you to judge yourself and push yourself down because of these powerful emotional reactions. You're going to have powerful emotional reactions, period. Let them go. Don't let them get out of hand. Don't get violent. But that power can really drive you. And if you're looking for a force to drive you that's similar to forces that drive others, forget it. You ain't gonna find it because you're a powerhouse. You just, and that's what can hurt this chart. It's too much normality. Too much. Yeah. Oh, I'm not like them. I'm not like them. What's wrong with me? I'm not like them. Well, you're not like them because you're a powerhouse. And the reason you're a powerhouse, in my opinion, is because you care so much.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm glad we put our finger on that one. Mm-hmm. Renate. I'm going to have to get Renate's chart. Miss Renate. Unusual chart. And the reason it's unusual is she's got inner power, Taurus, Taurus, Aries, Aries, Aries. Then she's got outer power, which is Pisces, Pisces, Capricorn. Okay, so let's look at these trines. We see a grand trine, Renate. We see Mars trine to Neptune, trine to Uranus. This is rather unusual. These are very active, dynamic planets, all three in Earth signs. So this means you can get like 15 things done at one time, especially with the moon in Cancer. But you get these things done, and Neptune, I would say that people even say to you, God, you got a magic about you. How do you get all these things done? And you've just,
yes, but I don't feel that.
But it happens.
But I get things done.
But it happens.
Yeah, in the eyes of others, yes. In my own eyes, not.
You got a kite pattern here. See the kite?
I know, yeah, I know.
And that makes the moon especially important. What this means is, like if you were an artist, you wouldn't be drawing slowly, you'd be drawing fast because things come to you very quickly. You can get a lot of things done. Having more. Go ahead.
I'm um, uh, what is it called? Well, no, I don't know the English word. But I got 3 years ago, I ordered once, I got downloads and I do abstract drawings and I do them very fast. Sacred geometry. That's what I'm doing.
That's exactly what we're talking about. That's where it comes from. Perfectly said. The download came from Neptune.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. Your spirit decided that you needed, but you got the ability. That's exactly what this says.
Yeah, there was a surprise because I never could draw anything. And all at once I started drawing all this sacred geometry stuff.
Okay.
And all different things. It was amazing.
Okay, now I'm very interested in this topic. What did you do with that knowledge? Because it's all in earth science. What did you do with it?
What do you mean now?
Did you go out and draw pictures? Did you go build something? Did you go help somebody build something? It's earth. You did something with it. You didn't think about it or sing about it. You did something with it.
No, I'm more a natural psychiatrist for all the people I know.
So you turned into,
and they want to be consulted, and I understand them.
so
and
you're telling me you turned it into mental help?
Yeah.
Well, I'm seeing something different. There's physical help here too. You need to go back to that time and look around and see what you did physically, such as, the 99-year-old former president Carter's helping people build houses. Well, now he's on hospice, but he did well into his 90s. This is not just magic with you. And with Gemini, you guys always avoid the trend to always think that everything's here to be used mentally. It's not. Not every gift you have is to be used mentally. With that trine, that's to be used physically, helping people build things, helping people design things. It's your
No idea.
Your download that came to you brought you much more than just ideas. The reason she's having a hard time putting a finger on it is because Neptune's involved. Give it some more thought. Thank you very much. Let's go to Kathy. Let's go to Kathy. Okay. Let's see what's in her chart. Kathy F. Okay, Miss Kathy. So Virgo with the Saturn 5 degrees away. So we got a T-square to Pluto. So whenever you have a T-square to Pluto, she's very scorpionic. And when someone's scorpionic and they're very Virgoan and they got Saturn by their sun, you got three commonalities here. You got a Saturn, seriousness. You got a Virgo, seriousness. You got a Pluto, seriousness. So we see that she can be very serious. We also that she can be very tough. She can be very, very strong. Now, in the trine, we have a T-square to Uranus. We have another T-square to Pluto and another one to Saturn. Very tough chart. Tough. But the trines, let's see what they do. Chiron over to Venus. Very nice touch. A very powerful Mars trine to Uranus. Kathy, you must get things done that people say to you, where is she? There she is. You must get things done. People say to you, how in God you get all that done at once?
That has happened. It's just a really nice, easy flow. Sometimes I don't even have to think about it. It just comes in.
That's that trine there, and it's beautiful. It's very harmonious. It's in air signs. So you can talk about it. Well, you got Jupiter trine to Pluto, Jupiter trine to Saturn. That's the easiness that you're talking about. You got the Mars trine to Uranus. And you got the Pluto trine to Eris. I'll tell you what, you may not know this about yourself. I didn't know till just now, but your chart's very strong. It's very strong. And you've been through some health issues that maybe a lot of other people wouldn't have made it.
Yeah.
You're tough.
Yeah, I am.
But to find out more about why that toughness is there, we'd have to dig into the past life to find out more. Let's go to Claudia.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Let's go to Claudia. Where'd John go on us? He snuck out.
He's
I'm
still
here,
there.
Nick. Yeah,
What? Where
I'm
are
here.
you?
Me? Oh, I'm sitting in my car.
Oh, I'm not talking about that, John. Welcome, John. I'm talking about our lawyer. I'm talking about
Okay.
John the Baptist, our lawyer. John sneaking up on me from his car. Okay. Let's see who we're doing here, Claudia. Okay. Claudia, we've talked a lot about your chart, so let's get right to the point. I was marveling. This whole thing started. I'll tell you where all this started. Because Claudia was just visiting here. And Liza and I were talking. Where did she go? Where did she go?
Who, me?
Claudia. Hey, there you
here.
are. There you are. We were talking about your chart, and we were talking about how amazing your energy is. And that's what opened this whole can of worms of looking at trines in your chart. And that opened it up to all these other people because your chart is very powerful and very special because of your trines. The moon is trine to Venus. The moon is trine to Saturn. Jupiter is trine to Saturn. Jupiter is trine to Venus. Mercury is trine to Neptune. Neptune is trine to the sun. And a lot of things right there. You don't really have a grand trine, but you almost do. So all this is being contained within Jupiter Neptune. And I keep telling you folks, Jupiter Neptune is the secret of the chart. Jupiter Neptune is your ability to deal well with God, when you think about God, to meditate, to levitate, to concentrate. It's an easiness. It's an easiness. And we were talking about how you've had some rough spots here and there, and you still make things sound kind of easy. That's called jealousy. So you got Mars, Moon, and the T-score goes to Neptune. You've got the Saturn, Venus, which is not a picnic, but they both go trine to Jupiter and the Moon.
It helps. I guess that helps a lot.
Helps a lot. Yes, it does. It helps takes the sternness out of that Saturn and the fear out of it. That's very, very good. And these are very strong in the 10th house.
It's a wide grand trine, but Eris, Neptune, and the sun. Look at
Eris,
Neptune, and the sun. It's not.
oh, that's definitely a grand trine. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You got to make it wider when the sun is involved. Well, that's hellacious. Wow. What do you think about a fiery Sun, Eris, Neptune? And you may not even want that closer. Sun, Eris, Neptune. What's that tell you? That's very special.
I like to look at it as spiritual fire.
That's it. That's it. That's exactly it. And a lot of people, when they talk about early astrology, they'll talk about fire being spirit.
Yeah.
Fire being zealousness, being
Right.
excited. Well, I think that has a lot to do with it. But she and I were remarking about your ability to stay rather leonine, upbeat, buoyant in the midst of stuff that could be kind of crappy. And the Trines are what showed it to us. So it's all your fault.
I'm glad we get to look at everybody else's stuff. Trines are really, I've always heard people talk about them in a dubious sort of way, like they can make you lazy. But I mean, it depends on, you're going to do what you're going to do with.
Yeah,
whatever.
they're really, really good.
Yeah.
They're really, really good. They can be taken for granted. They can make you lazy, yes, because you take that quality for granted. But for the most part, they're really powerful, good. They're like bolsters inside your church. What do they call those things that hold up the church and buildings? Anyhow, let's go to Linda P. Yeah, that's good stuff. Linda P. There's a Linda. There we go. Okay, Linda P. Well, we've talked enough about your Scorpio and your T-square to Uranus, which makes a lot of sense. But did you know that it all comes down to this one big pile of trines? Look at that. Stellium trine to Chiron. And if Chiron in Sag, Linda, if Chiron in Sag is not your ability to be collegiate, I don't know what is. Chiron in Sag, right to Pluto, right to Mars, right to Venus. And that tells me that when you're teaching these kids about their English, etc., language, you're not playing with them. You don't just play. You talk it to them and hit them with the guts of the story. I think it's good, and I think that's one reason you deal with a assistant with a male basketball team. I think that makes a lot of sense. But this is very, very strong. You got three fire signs out of 4. You got the charm of the Venus Mars, as if you needed it. But that's really, really charming. And you got the Chiron and Sag, which gives you the enjoying these abilities, but not getting hung up about them. What do you think?
I think that makes a lot of sense. That, sometimes I'm, even in the middle of the class, I'm saying to myself, they probably think I'm insane because like I'm, like right there all the time. I mean,
you're just intense.
Yeah. I mean, I used to teach my linguistics class at night in the summertime, and that's like 3.5 or 4 hours. And like I'd look at them and they look like they've been, walking through the desert or something for like days. And I'm still going, and I'm thinking I could go another hour, but no, no, they can't.
Yeah, I know what that's like.
They can't
Well,
go
this
there.
is very charming. This is very wonderful. And what it does to me is it really puts a special circle around Chiron and the house where Virgo is on the cusp. And that would be your midheaven. So this, since it trines the planet that rules your midheaven, this tells me, and Venus and Mars are both there. This tells me that you got a almost magical ability with these students. This is very powerful. Yay for Linda. Let me move on now. Good chart. Okay, let's see. Susan A is not here. Naomi's here. I can't tell. She was here. Naomi's not with us. Let's go to Erica. Okay, Miss Erica. Okay, Erica, the Taurus. Okay, we see a clump of trines. Now, believe me, the sextiles are going to show you something really similar. It's just they're harder to work with. There's more of them. You got to look closer. Your orb is closer, but they're going to still say the same type of thing, being very supportive. But now, what I see when I do something like this, I take all 4 of these and trine them to all 3 of those. I don't know what the rule book says, but I do it anyway. Okay. So this Leo, Pluto, Saturn, this is a way of being out in the world, being very proud, being very strong and vocal, and standing your ground. And it's very much backed up by somebody who's got the skill level and the social levels to counsel people. That's very nice. And this has to come from a past life. This is somebody who's developed these very powerful teaching tools, guidance tools, especially when you look at Neptune. Whenever Neptune's on the angle, you know that at least there's a strong chance that she's being led by Holy Spirit. Okay, let's take a look down deep. Pluto's at 10. Mars is at 12. Saturn's at 2. Venus is at 4. Moon is at 16. Mercury's at 19. So you can go ahead and do this. You can just combine all 7 planets into a very big, powerful trine. What do you think, Erica?
It looks like a big snowplow with one of those things on it.
Yeah.
Pushing all the snow.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
and
you're
talking
right.
about counseling people, that's only if they want to be counseled, because usually they don't.
Yeah, but let me tell you where the real main strength is in this chart. The main power in this chart, you may not see this, is the Neptune opposite Eris. That's very powerful. Right across the ascendant, that's somebody who underplays it, but has tremendous spiritual power. You have tremendous spiritual influence on others. You just do.
That would be good if it was true. I hope I do, because I mean, well.
Did you see how she still giving me a hard time? I don't care. I know it's true. And it's up to you when you decide to accept it. We will take a look at this because this warrants us to look real close into your 12th harmonic. Where did this come from? Where did this come from? This is almost like, I don't want to sound corny, but this is almost like you're one of God's warriors. That's what I say here. We'll let that be for now. And when we look at your 12th harmonic, we'll bring this up again, okay?
Just call me Lilith.
Okay, I'll call you Lilith. And I'll call her, you'll call you Lilith, and I'm calling her Jane. Okay, where's Jane at? I have to.
Thank you, Rick. I
You
always have
are,
fun.
you are welcome. And I have to. Okay, Jane. "35 charts." Okay, let's get you on the screen. Okay, we see a beautiful set of trines here. I wonder why they don't form a grand trine. The 12 degrees is too far. So you don't have a trine, but you've got 1 and another and 4. Very interesting. All fire.
Mhm.
All fire. Fire, 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 fire.
Yes.
Air. Okay. And she is a fire sign. I gotta find her on my. No. Yeah. Okay. Neptune at the top once again. Saturn trine to these three. Uranus trine to these three. So this tells me that when you're active and when you're doing things, either in your work or with a group of people working, and you have to apply mental energy, you're very good at offering yourself mentally. And if they try to stop you mentally, it really cramps your style. You're just a very strong mental contributor, even though you're very emotional with the moon in Aquarius. And it really helps, and very soft and very spiritual. This is a person who has tremendous amount of intellectual leadership. Have you considered writing a book?
Yeah, only more recent. Well, I've been thinking about it, but more recently because moving into retirement. So considering, yeah, because it's funny because I've struggled with that. I struggled with it as a child that I thought I wasn't intelligent, and then I've actually grown into thinking, well, you've got a few marbles there.
You can write a book. Let me look at the third harmonic, and then we'll go on from there, because that harmonic will show us about book writing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Here it is. Okay. Yeah, it shows you're really stopping it. You're really resisting it. I gotta find out why. Third harmonic. I'm getting confused now. So many screens. Okay, here's your third harmonic. All right, that's the harmonic of Gemini or the writer. Do you see the moon's opposite Saturn?
Yeah.
Ah, you ain't writing a book. Ah, no. You're not writing a book.
What am I doing?
I don't know, but you got it made up. I ain't writing no book. No, 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 no. Jane writes no book. Now tell me why. Tell me why you're saying that to yourself.
Thank you, because I doubt my ability all the time.
Okay, let's put that to the side. Okay, that makes sense. I understand that. Okay, now let's talk to you neutrally now, okay?
Yeah.
Do you have the ability to write a book?
Yes.
Okay, that was easy. It's settled. Go write the book. I
Okay.
wrote one and it ain't easy. It ain't easy, but you got stamina and you got fire and you got things to say. Go write the book.
Oh, thank you.
Go
Honestly,
write the
thank you.
book. You don't have to write it.
I
You don't have to write it all one night. You don't have to write it
yeah.
all in 3 weeks. Just start getting it down because you are frustrated.
Yes, and yes. Yes, I'm
Yeah,
going to write, and yes,
you're
I'm
frustrated.
frustrated.
I don't know why. I'd have to search your past life, but that Saturn's really on you. It's like your book wouldn't be meaningful enough. What would you really have to say? That's what the voice is saying.
Yes.
And that
Yes,
just ain't
that's
right.
exactly.
Yeah, but it ain't right
Okay.
because you got Pluto Mars. Pluto Mars very
Thank you.
and Saturn Jupiter and Saturn Neptune. You got the ability. So you see when things like this happen to her tonight, what are we going to look for? We're going to look for something came to this chart to unglue it, to release it.
Yes.
That's what happens. Where's Uranus? A pair of 22. So it isn't Uranus. Where's Pluto? Pluto is down here. Pluto is hitting the Eris. Neptune is here, coming close to you. I don't know exactly. Anyhow, I'm glad we got it unglued.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now we got a Teresa and a Sigmund. Okay, let's do it. You are welcome. I'm very anxious to see you do it because you're going to do it. At least one book. Teresa. Okay. Teresa, your trines we go to, and we see Uranus trine to Mercury. That makes you brilliant, really brilliant. And Eris trine to Mercury. No, Eris trine, yeah, to Mercury. So you got, they're both combining on the Mercury and Scorpio. So what this means is you have a lot of intelligence, just a lot. And I really think Libras are the smartest sign in the zodiac. You have a lot of intelligence, a lot of knock you flat intelligence, which means saying it like it is. What do you do with that knowledge?
What do I do with it?
What do you do with it?
I don't know. I've done many things in my life. I don't
Okay.
know.
All right, good. Good. Do you want to write?
I've already written a book that I'm trying to self-publish.
That ain't easy.
I know.
It ain't easy. Well, the big thing you're trying to say here is you got great mental ability. You can draw on things from all over. Just sit back. When you're stuck, just sit back and shh. Okay?
I've been good at stocks, believe it or not.
You're talking about money there. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm talking about writing. So I want you
Okay.
to give it some thought. I think you got a book in you too. Okay?
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. Let's finish off with Sigmund. Yeah, very smart chart. I don't have Sigmund's chart there. Got too many charts to do. Take this and pause it. Sigmund, let's go to your chart. Huh, where did it go? Okay, Sigmund, this is the final chart of the evening. When you have a strong ninth house like this, you don't even have to mention anything about philosophy. This person is extremely philosophical. Okay, great philosophy here. Higher ed. Notice how everything is a bucket down to Eris. So what this means is everything's being contained by what this very powerful mind is thinking. He's got this very powerful mind, but what does he do with it? Especially being a Virgo. Virgo is all about the application of 6 degrees, right opposite Neptune. It's a very spiritual mind, very powerful. But what does the trine? How does the trine help you? The trine helps you because there's a trine over to Uranus and Gemini in the 6th. So that means you have all kind of variety of things to talk about, to think about. We can change the subject on you many times and you can just stick right with it. The Eris trine to these three guys is just a really powerful Eris. So I don't know. We'll have to do it some night with your 12th harmonic, but your chart is just a really powerful mind, much like Teresa's. And what are you going to do with it? And knowing you so long, seems to me you use it for transcendence. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's also I use it to interpret the world and to make my way through the world more often than not.
Now, when it comes to Virgos writing people handbooks and writing instruction books, do you ever have an interest in doing something like that?
I think more in the sense of I am the book, and that's what I carry with me. And sometimes I'll choose to interact with with this one or that one, as that. Sometimes not. It really depends. Is not everybody appreciates
Right.
the spontaneity or the
Right.
just the initiating interaction or responding in a
Or the
certain
instruction.
way.
Yeah, but the thing is, your chart's very powerful. So anything you want to do mentally, just do it. What you're going to have to watch out for when you have too much Virgo, no matter who you are, is allowing yourself the freedom to do what you want to do and staying away from what you should do. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I can trust my inner guidance by this time, and when in doubt, I just get grounded, and that'll help. Or I invoke the combination of the heart and solar plexus, which is really what discernment is about, the two balance each other and keep them from extremes. So I know I have the ability to be in good hands and take care of things no matter what I want.
Well, thank you, Sigmund. Sorry for everybody to rush, but it's way past time and we did an awful lot in one night. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, Deneen will be with us on the 14th,
16th.
16th, and 30th. Yeah. Helping us get unstuck from things way back in our curses in our past lives. Everybody, let's go watch the Steelers and don't tell me the score.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Rick. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Rick. Good night, everyone.
Have a good
Take
week.
care, everyone.
Night, Rick.
Bye.
Night, everybody.